let's go just back to him and the financial. He tells you, he has a concern enough to at least express something to you that he's frustrated with the way she spends, or he's upset with working so hard and never having any money, and she's kind of the responsible party for spending most of the money.
I pretty much got that vibe. I mean, he just told me, he's like, we're house broke all the time. I was just like, that's unfortunate. And I asked him, I was like, do you have 401k? And he was like, yeah. And I mean, the reason I ask him this is because if I get into a relationship with somebody, I want to know, like, what kind of baggage that they have. I think that's important if I walk into a situation where I'm like, hey, I have good credit and I have all these things that I've been building, and you don't have your stuff together, like, what are we going to do with this? And it's important for your long-term thing. So I'm preparing. And so I just asked him, I was like, well, do you have 401k? And he's like, yeah, I do have that. And then I asked him, I was like, I didn't ask him, like, how much debt they had or anything, but I just said, is your lifestyle sustainable? And he was like, no. And I was like, how long do you think that's going to take? He's like, I don't know, but it's not sustainable.
Where did his girls go to school?
I don't know. He never actually told me. Like, when I asked him once, it was like when I was trying to find him an apartment, I was like, are you comfortable telling me where your girls go to school? That's in the text too. I was like, so I can figure out what distance from the apartment it is. I was trying to just make his life convenient with, like, him, his ex, his kids, and all the stuff that he needs to do and work. And he was like, don't worry about it. Their school's pretty centrally located, so anywhere in the area that we were discussing will be fine. And he just left it at that. So he didn't even tell me, which was fine. I respect that.
Daycare is obviously very expensive for a 3 and 5 year old.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So
I understand.
Did he ever bring did he ever discuss that?
Never.
Okay.
Never. Like I said, the only financial thing he ever said is just like, she just likes to spend money, like a lot of it. So that was just kind of the vibe that I got from that, and that it was a lifestyle that she liked to live, like, very, like, materialistic kind of lifestyle.
Wanted
like
to project a certain image.
Yes, all the time. And he said that was why they got that house too. It's like she wants everybody to think that we live a certain way and that we can, like, sustain all this stuff. And he's like, and we can't. And I told him, I said, when you're in those situations, why don't you, I'm like, do you like voice your concern about this? And he told me, he's like, when I try to talk to her, he's like, she's really bossy and she usually shuts me out. And he's like, when she does that, he's like, I just let it go. And I was just like, all right. I mean, I don't try to, like, interfere with how those two interact. But I did ask about it because I'm just curious, because I would never put myself in a situation where someone was like, you know what, we're going to live in this house that costs, like, double what we can afford, and that's how it's going to be because I want everybody to think we're fancy. Because I wouldn't do that. I mean, to me, like, I wouldn't put up with somebody doing that to me. And I'm not saying that that's what she was doing. I mean, for all I know, he could have been completely lying about this. He could be the one spending all the money.
Sure.
You know?
This is just what he told you.
Exactly. So, I mean, that's as far as I can interpret it. So I can't be like, well, oh, she needs to do this and she needs to do that. But he voiced his concern where it's just like, financially, I'm in a very bad spot that I don't need to be in, but I'm stuck in. And that was kind of where he was at. So, but I mean, he was never, like, mean when he talked about her. He was never hostile, like, nothing like that. He just, I mean, very calmly, like, this is the situation. And I think the only reason that he even provided me with that information is because I asked.
Okay. You said something about her being controlling or
Bossy.
Bossy.
That's what he said. Bossy.
In, like, all aspects of their life? Or what, do you know exactly what he meant by that? How that affected him?
I think he was just saying when he voices his opinion, it's not heard. Is the gist of that. Which I thought, from what it sounded like from their separation, from them trying to separate, that was a big deal for him, where he was saying that the reason that they don't really get along anymore is because he feels like he's not heard. He says that he comes home from work and he tries to talk to her and she'll just be like, 1 minute, I'm on the phone. Or she'll, like, scroll through social media and she, like, doesn't acknowledge him. And He said that he'd addressed it with her a few times, and they're calm. He said they don't really, like, fight. Like, they don't scream and yell. And he said he'd addressed it with her a few times, and he said it just fell on deaf ears. He's like, she just seems like she's not interested anymore. And I think it made him sad because, I mean, he was, like, all about his kids, and he seemed like he was trying to be all about her, but it just wasn't reciprocated. And I think at that point he was just like, they just kind of, like, fell apart.
Okay.
Just kind of drifted apart. But
was that your words or his?
What, that they
fell apart?
Those are mine.
Okay.
Those are mine. He just said that they didn't communicate very well. And it wasn't in a aggressive way communicate. It was just the fact that they didn't, like, communicate at all.
And you said earlier you did not know she was pregnant until reading the newspaper.
Yep.
So that never came up in any conversation.
Never.
There was no indications that was going on.
None.
He never hinted to anything like
Nothing.
that. As far as you knew, he was just leaving her. He had 2 children, and that was the final take on that.
Yes. I know why he lied to me. He lied to me because if I'd have known that he had a child on the way, I'd have never wasted my time with him in the first place. Like, none of this would have ever even occurred if he would have just told me the truth.
So do you think if he found out that you, if, let's say this week you guys were to go look at some apartments, and this is hypothetical, but you've never found out that his wife was pregnant, would that have changed anything? Like you just said, if I knew his wife was pregnant, I wouldn't be in this picture. So if his wife was not pregnant, and forgive me, but if he takes her out of the picture, you're never going to know that she was pregnant, right?
What do you mean takes her out of the picture? Like,
if he murdered her, she's out of the picture. You're never going to know if she was pregnant. If he can get away with murder, you're not going to. I got divorced from my wife. Do you understand what I'm saying here? If she's gone,
but this.
Don't lead.
Hypothetically,
please.
Yeah.
Don't lead on.
Hypothetically, if she,
okay.
You understand where I'm going. If
right,
you
but
didn't know,
you're leading into
right.
questions that are nothing with your.
If you didn't know, though.
Wait, Nick.
That she was there.
Did you hear what I said?
I'm following you. I just want her to answer a question that relates to. She said something that's important. That if he didn't have a child on the way, or if she didn't know that, she would have continued the relationship, right?
But he killed his kids. At what point does he think that I'm going to be in a relationship?
I'm not talking about the children. I'm just talking specifically about her. If you only knew, if the kids were still here, and he called you and said, "I'm divorced from my wife," and he gets away with this, do you understand what I'm thinking from his aspect?
I still wouldn't do it. I still wouldn't do it because I'd be like, where did she go?
Okay.
Because I'm under the impression that she's a really good mom. Like, he never bashed her momming skills. Like, no, I wouldn't, no.
Okay.
No.
And you see where I'm trying to take that?
Yes.
So, you guys never had a conversation about the child, period?
I didn't know at all.
All right. And by your words, if you did know, you would have ended the relationship.
Well, because it wouldn't have made sense to me that he's like, I'm getting separated. Oh, by the way, I have a baby on the way. It's like,
15 weeks.
You are a liar. You're just trying to sleep with me. That's what I would have probably interpreted that as, and I'd have just shut that off at work, and that would have been the end of it.
Okay. Your conversation with the children, or about the children, was there ever talk about medical concerns with either of the children?
Well, I know Cece is allergic to not peanuts, like pine nuts.
So she has a nut allergy?
Yes.
Did they take meds?
Yeah, I know that she had like an EpiPen, but as far as I know, she didn't have any meds, but I never asked. Like, I was just told, like, she has a pretty severe allergy. And
enough to carry an EpiPen, that's pretty severe.
Yeah, while we're on this, so when he was in North Carolina, this is all, like, hearsay now because it's, like, this is not a conversation. Like, he's telling me this stuff, but who knows exactly what happened. But he went out there to go see his family and her family. And while he was in town, before he went out to North Carolina, I guess his mother had accidentally, like, not exposed her to something with nuts, but had, like, given a product, I think it was, like, ice cream, to a different kid that could have traces of nuts or something. I don't know. But it was, like, his daughter was fine, but she was, like, in the range of contamination. And I think his wife was very upset about that. And when he got to North Carolina, he told me that he was supposed to spend, like, half time with them, half the time with her family, and that was supposed to be what it was. I don't know. But he said that he went to go see his family, and they weren't answering the phone for, like, a day or two before he went out there. And then when he got there was a note on the door that said, son, if you step by, we're at the beach. And they ignored him for, like, most of the time that he was out there. And
his own family?
Yes. His mom, his dad, and his sister.
What's the significance? Do you know why?
Yeah, he said, and again, I don't know what is true with this man anymore and what's not, but he told me that, like, leading up to it, I was like, well, why are your folks, like, ignoring you? And I was, like, really concerned about this. Like, every single day he would talk to me when he was out there, and I was like, you talked to your family today? You talked to your family today? Did you talk to your dad? What happened? Did you talk to him? No, I didn't. Or, yeah, I talked to my mom. Well, what'd she say? Are you going to hang out with him? Like, I wanted him to see his people because it's important. Family is an important thing. You know, it just needs to function properly. And,
sure.
And so I was like, well, and he was like, well, they're ignoring me. And I was like, what do you think happened? And he was like, I'm not really sure, but I think something was said between my wife and them during that incident. And he's like, because every time that happened nuts. Before he got there, yes. And he's like, because every time that I try to, I talk about possibly going over there to see if they're home, she gets upset about it. And I was like, okay. And he told me that his mom and his wife did not get along at all. He said that his mom didn't even show up to his wedding because she's, like, really did not care for Shanann. So, again, I don't know what's true and what's not, but I just know that there was, like, some tension there. Mm-hmm. And, again, like, that part is, like, I feel like it's almost third party, so that's why it's like I didn't even bring it up.
Well, but it came from him to you, so it's not. It is something that whether it's important or not, we can validate that. I'm sure we will be having some conversations with family. What does it mean? I don't know. But
yeah, I don't know either, but I just know.
So
like,
maybe I don't know.
Well, and then he ended up seeing them on the last, like, full day that he was there, and they told him supposedly that she had gotten really upset and had screamed and yelled in front of Chris's sister's kids that are very young, and to his mom and to his dad, and said, like, you're never going to see Chris again, you're never going to see me, you're never going to see the babies, and just, like, threatened them, and then, like, walked off. And I guess that was the incident that happened prior to him coming out there, and then she didn't tell him about it. Mm. She just, like, let it go, and then he just spent all week trying to figure out why his family was, like, not trying to be involved.
Gotcha.
So again, I'm not sure. That was, like, it just feels really third party, so it's hard for me to, like, talk about because
sure.
like, I don't know
That's
how much.
Is there anything else you think, let me just back up from that Saturday where you guys had a meal at the Lazy Dog to prior for the 6 weeks that you guys were serious. And although your dad's here and I think you're probably pretty comfortable, your relationship with Chris can you describe your relationship?
I mean, when he was with me, I considered it to be fairly healthy. It was open communication, and it was what I thought was honest, and it was very calm. It was respectful. We got along really well. He gave me my space when I needed it. I gave him his, and anytime, like, he wanted to take care of it, like, anytime that his kids could be in, like, his life for hours or days or whatever, whenever they were home, I made sure that I wasn't a presence in his life so that he could be the best dad that he needed to be. And, I mean, I thought what we had, it was very comfortable for me. I enjoyed it. I think he did very much as well.
you guys, 6, 8 weeks, 2 months, whatever it was, you guys had an intimate relationship during that time.
Yes.
Okay. So you're pretty serious. Did he ever tell you that he loved you?
Yes, he did.
Did you ever tell him the same?
A couple times.
Okay. Notwithstanding that today, because those thoughts may have changed for you, but on, let's go Sunday into Monday or Monday, did you still love him on those days?
I think it was something where it was like I said it a few times and I meant it, but he definitely felt the urge to say it to me a lot more than I did to him, because it was just all very new to me, and it was like, take your time with this. Like, you don't need to like rush that, you know? Like, I remember when he was in North Carolina and he was like trying to patch things up with his wife, and he told me he loved me, and I was like, don't say that to me. Like, please go try to fit. And I mean, and that might even be in the text too, where it's like, don't say those words to me and then go try to make peace with your wife and lay in bed with another woman. Like, just don't do that. And I was like, it's not that I don't appreciate what you're saying to me. It's like, it just didn't sit right for me, you know? So I just feel like...
Almost like an insecurity where you had to say that to you? Or?
I don't know. I think he like... looking back at all this now, I don't think he was trying to fix things with her. So saying, I love you, to me, seemed like probably something that he genuinely meant. Like, I love this woman. And regardless of where he was going to end up that night. But to me, in the way that I was perceiving things, he had told me that he was trying to fix things with her. So it's just like, this is an inappropriate time. And I wasn't mad at him. And I'm pretty sure that's in the text too, where it was very like calm, but it's just like, it's almost disrespectful, where it's like, please don't. I'm like, you know, if we get to that point where it is you and me, like, yes, you can say that, but not then. Like, that's...
So you thought he was very genuine when he said that?
Yeah, I did. I mean, and he wrote it. It's in all those cards I gave you. Not in all of them, but like the later ones.
And...
Thank you.
When you said it to him, you said you meant it when you said it?
Yes, I just didn't say as frequent as he said it. Like, sometimes he would say it, and I was just like, for me, it was still, like, very, very new, so I kind of, like, took my time and only said it when I was just like, this is a really important moment.
So you got, I mean, in the short period of time that you guys were together, he...
Yes.
became very attached to you.
Yes. Very, very
he's
attached.
He's sending cards.
Flowers.
He's telling you he loves you. He sends you flowers. Does he buy you any other gifts?
Nope. I wouldn't have wanted them anyways. Flowers is enough. You can't. I don't need expensive stuff.
Okay. But he becomes very attached.
Yes.
You guys are talking multiple times a day, at least.
All the time.
You're seeing each other on a regular basis.
Yep.
So it's a very... and his wife is not around, nor are his children, so there's a lot of time for you guys to build your relationship in this first four weeks or so. Is that fair?
Yeah, and even when she was back, I mean, it was still like we were still spending time together. He was still spending time with his children, and I had my own life. Like, I mean, there was 1 week where I just like went out of town with my friends for my birthday. I wasn't even around the whole like last few days of June up until the 3rd of July. I was like gone, you know. And then there was another like last weekend I had a friend impromptu come in town from out of state, and I hosted her for a few days. And it's like I still did my own thing all the time, like whether he was there or not. Like if my friends were like, hey, we want to make plans, I would tell him like, we're not hanging out today because I want to go see my mom or my dad.
Did your friends know about him?
Nope.
Why?
Because it's like he's with 2 women right now. They don't need to know about
So
that.
if you had a boyfriend of 4 to 8 weeks on a regular... I don't know if you were married prior or if you had a boyfriend before, but if you had a steady boyfriend, you would have let people know. I think you told me before we got started that you just told your dad about Chris.
No, I wouldn't
recently.
have told them. I wouldn't have told
Okay.
people. It's too early. I mean, people...
So you don't tell your friends, hey, I
No,
got a
because
boyfriend.
people come and go. I mean,
Okay.
the dating scene these days is like, it sucks. I mean, so, no, I wouldn't. I mean, it would have to be something, even with Sean. I think I was with Sean for probably like 6 or 7 months before I brought him home to my family. I mean, I really, same with, that was the guy I was in a previous relationship with, but I mean...
But this one you were a little bit more, you said he's with 2 women. Did that Was that one of your considerations for not telling anybody about him?
Yes. Well, I mean, it was like, okay, like this, to me, it wasn't going to be an extended thing. Like, if it got to the point where we were, like, dating for, like, 3 or 4 months and he's still talking about, oh, I'm going to move out and I'm going to sell the house, I think at that point I probably would have just been like, I don't think you're really, like, doing these things you say you're going to do. And I probably would have just, like, left, because at that point, it's not fair. It wasn't fair to me in the first place. It wasn't fair to her in the first place. It wasn't fair to any of us in the first place. You know, it wasn't fair to his family for him to have an affair. It wasn't fair to me to have him lie to me and make me think that everything is going to plan. And still to this day, I don't even know what's a lie and what's not. I don't even know if they were, like, filing for divorce. I don't know if they were putting the house up. I don't even know anymore what is real and what is not. But what I do know is it's just like, you know, that wasn't fair to me either, because if I'd have known not even all the truth, but, like, obviously some of it, I wouldn't have even engaged in any of this in the first place. And it just, I mean, and that's the part for me, just, like, on my personal level, outside of everything that is happening, that is gonna affect me long term. It's like, you know, I'm gonna wake up every day and know that, like, this mom and her unborn child and these 2 little girls are not around anymore, and it breaks my heart. It is so, oh my God. And then I have to think about, like, the consequences of his actions and how they affect everybody else. Like, all of these, her family's impacted. My name is about to be, like, slandered for probably a while. I don't know how long it's going to take to heal, but I would not be surprised if it's going to be hard to go out in public sometimes for a couple of years. And that really hurts me. I'm just like, this is a horrible, horrible thing. Like, how dare you, you know? And people aren't going to understand that. You know, they're going to say, oh, you know, you're the woman that had an affair with this man who took out his whole family. And I take a step back and it's just like, I didn't know. Like, he's so disgusting. I'm so ashamed of him and everything. And I just, oh, those little girls. They're so little. They're so little.
And that's why we're here, because we need this video. And I am sorry, because I know it's hard to talk about it.
God, it's so sad, and she's pregnant.
And, you know, on our end, we
God,
didn't...
and they're so cute. They're so little. Like, why? Why? How? I don't even understand how you could, like, bring yourself to do that to somebody who's, like, that big.
Do you want to step out for a minute?
No, I just need to chill with my eyes closed for a sec. I still cannot believe this is happening. Alright, let's keep going, because we're just getting to, like, the meat of this whole situation.
Let's get to the phone call on Saturday from 9 to 11. What did you guys, or pardon me, on Sunday from 9 to 11.
Yeah, we talked a few times. So, Sunday,
Okay.
I think so. I need to think. I can't even think.
Take a couple breaths and take a second.
Sunday night. I don't even know. I don't think I was, like, concerned about anything at that point.
You guys had had a meal, a nice meal the night before. You knew his wife was probably coming home late that evening.
Oh, you know what? I still don't remember what we talked about. I, like, honestly, like, we talk about so much random stuff. Like, it's so hard to pinpoint some of these things. I don't remember what we talked about. I do remember that was a long phone conversation, though. We probably talked about all sorts of stuff. One thing I do remember, though, that I didn't remember earlier when I was talking to Mark. So this is like where I'm starting to remember like little bits and pieces. I don't remember. Yeah, I know. So the phone conversation, I don't remember what was in the phone conversation. Probably nothing of relevance, to be honest with you. But usually he talks to me when he's like down in the basement in his bed before he goes to bed and before I go to bed. And I could hear the TV on, which I thought was kind of weird. I didn't ask him. I just heard it in the background. And I remember thinking, and it was like right before we got off the phone, I was like, why the hell is he up? And there's like no TV downstairs. So I was like, well, maybe, I don't know.
No TV in the basement where he usually calls you from.
Yeah, and I don't know how many TVs they have. Like, I've never been in their bedroom. Like, I went upstairs once and it was like to their little playroom and I just like looked at it and I was like, that's super cute that your girls have books. And that was like it. And other than that, I have never been in any of those rooms in that upstairs. Like, to me, it was just like, you don't know. Like, ever. I had no... So, I don't know if he has any other TVs. I'm assuming by, like, how much other nice stuff they have in their house, it wouldn't surprise me. So, I'm not quite sure what room he was in at that point. But I just remember hearing the TV. And I was like... It was just weird to me. Because I was like, why are you watching TV right now? It is, like, super late. And that was the only thing...
And he had phoned you? Or were you guys already talking when the TV was going? Or...
I just remember, like, I, like, picked up on it, like, later, but I don't think it was, like, throughout the whole conversation.
Okay.
Like, I just remember it being towards the end, because I remember thinking, like, wow, it's really late.
So, anything important that you recall during that conversation about the children, about his wife, about what he was doing the next day, what he had planned, anything like that?
No.
Did he tell you any of that information?
I remember he told me he had to go to the field and not to the office on Monday morning.
Okay. Did he specifically say where he needed to go on Monday morning?
No, I don't ask him for those sites. There's like, Anadarko's got like thousands of sites. If he were to tell me, I wouldn't even
They're
know.
just like random numbers and stuff, right?
Well, he told me, he said, I gotta go to a site. I gotta go check out like a valve or something where they think that they had a release. Something like that.
Did he mention the town or anywhere?
No. He just told me that that's what he had to go do. He's
Okay.
like, he was like, I won't see you in the office in the morning. Because I see him, but I don't actually like talk to him. Like, I will go in the cafeteria, I will put my lunch in the fridge, and him and his whole team are sitting in there, and I don't talk to any of them. I just walk out.
So Sunday night, or Sunday during the day, you had your own personal stuff going on with your family. You never see him on Sunday. Is that accurate?
No, I didn't see him. What did I do the rest of the day? I came home. I think I might have just chilled at my house. I don't remember. I think I cleaned my house. I don't know. I didn't see him, though.
Okay. And
Yeah, Saturday was the last time I saw him.
Okay. Sunday, you're at home. You talk to him. We know you have a conversation in the late evening hours, and then you go to sleep on Sunday night. When's the next time you talk with Chris?
Probably Monday morning.
Do you know what time?
No, I mean, so we used to, like, randomly text each other, like, throughout the day. But we both get really busy, so some days, like, I don't hear a lot from him, and some days I don't text him until, like, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, because I'm just, like, busy. And I remember I didn't hear a lot from him that day, which was, like, that's not out of the normal for either one of us during the day. But at one point, I do remember he, like, texted me, and he's like, oh, it's been a really busy day, and then, like, said some other stuff, which I'm sure you will find in my text. What he said, I don't know. It wasn't obviously anything that was, like, alerting to me. That's what I'm saying. Like, at this point, like, I remember really key things, but if it's, like, a conversation that I'm like, I don't remember exactly what was discussed, it's because it was probably just bullshit. Like, just talking to each other. Yeah.
Small talk stuff?
Yeah. But I remember he was busy that day, and we didn't talk that much. And then I clocked out at 3 is what my time card says. That's what I was showing Mark the other day. And I got home to go meet my buddy. One of my good friends was coming over my house. And he actually has the key to my house, so he was actually there when I got there. And
who's that?
My friend Jim. And so Jim came over, and I got home. He was there. He had, like, just walked in the door. And I remember, like, briefly after he got there, I checked my texts. I mean, briefly after I met up with Jim, I, like, glanced at my texts. And Chris said something about, like, my family's not home. Or, like, my wife and kids aren't home. Like, something to that effect. And I told Mark, because he asked me for a time. And I don't have an exact time, but I remember it was, like, right after I walked in.
That was a text message, though.
Yeah, it's in a text. And it's, like, it was, like, briefly after I walked in the door. So based off how long it takes me to get home from work and when I clocked out, it was probably about 3:45 p.m. Texts me and tells me that. And, like, he knows when I get off of work, too. So he doesn't always bug me if I'm busy. So I don't know what's up with that, but that's when he sends that to me. And
so you're saying that he would have known that you would have had your phone available to you and not been at work when he sent you that text message?
Yes, that's what I'm trying to say.
So looking back at it, you think it was purposefully sent at that time?
Oh, I'm sure.
I'm just asking your feeling on that.
Yes, and then he said, "Call me when you can," and I was.
There was no other communication between you and him that morning on Monday morning.
Well, there was, but it was like random, like.
But nothing about this event.
No.
About like my wife's missing or anything.
Nothing.
Okay.
Nothing.
And you knew he wasn't coming to the office because he had told you that Sunday night.
Yeah, and then he goes, and so, like, they're only in the office for the morning. Like,
right.
Some days it's longer than others, but I would say by a maximum of 7:30 every single morning, they're all gone. And they don't come back unless they have, like, a meeting or something that they have to attend. So, like, not seeing him for the rest of the day is not, like, an unnormal thing.
Okay.
Like, but like I'm saying, like, we don't really, the only reason we interact was kind of, like, by an off-chance thing. Like, I don't work with him.
Mm-hmm.
So he, we talked, like, randomly throughout the day, but it was really sporadic, and he seemed pretty busy, so we didn't talk too much. Like I said, didn't put too much thought into it. It happens all the time. Waited till about 3:45, then sent that text to me, and yes, he does know that I will be home at that point. So anyways, Chris was like, "Call me."
And this is the 3:45 text.
Yeah, he sent me, like, a few. I think there was 3 of them, and I don't remember what the other one said, but something about, like, yeah, my family's gone, or I don't remember verbatim, but call me when you can, or call me when you have a chance, something to that effect. And so when he told me, "Call me," I was, like, kind of alerted, where I was like, okay, what's going on, you know? But first when he told me, like, his family was, like, not home, that didn't really seem odd to me, that his family wasn't home. It was really vague. I'm like, okay, like, are they at the grocery store? Like, elaborate. And so, you know, and then, but he says, "Call me," like it's like an emergency, but then just says that they're not there. And so I'm, like, really, like, floored by that. Well, not, like, floored, but just kind of, like, he says, "Call me," so I'm concerned, and then he's really vague, so I'm like, maybe he just wants to talk to me? I don't know. I think it took me a little while to, like, really process the severity of the situation, just because this is not something that you expect to see every day, and the way that he talked to me made me believe that this is not what was going on at all.
Okay, so you make a phone call to him and you guys have a conversation.
I did. I stepped outside.
This is 3:45.
Ish. I mean, well, like, I think I actually interacted with Jim for, like, probably a good 15 or 20 minutes. I mean, he's my guest. He's in my house. So I don't think I called him right away. But, like, I mean, I'm trying to balance the fact that I have my friend here, and then Chris is saying that something needs to be addressed. But to me, it didn't sound like an emergency. I mean, it's all the time. Like, people aren't home right now. You know, so it just... It wasn't like, "Oh my God, I have to take this call. It's an emergency." No. I mean, it was the way he said it, and I was like, okay. So I remember hanging out with Jim for a while, and then I stepped outside, and I made a call, like, out on my back patio, and I called him. And he didn't answer the phone, and then he texted me back. Oh no, did he answer the phone? I don't remember. I think he missed my call, and then he called me back. Or he just answered. Either way, it was a very short talk to him where he was just like, "I have to go. The cops are here." And I don't remember if he said that on the phone or over text. I'm so tired.
That's fine. You don't.
But either way, like,
it's
the cops.
The context.
Yeah, I mean, you guys will figure it out. The cops are here, and I'm just like, all right. And then I remember we were like we were texting, but I was like hanging out with my company, so it wasn't like a nonstop text. It was just kind of like I would check my phone every once in a while, and we would communicate with each other. And he was just saying like they weren't there, and that her friend Nikki was there, and that her friend Nikki had called the cops. And I'm like, why would this girl call the cops? And like, I honestly do not remember the order of operations on all of this, but I'm pretty sure the majority of our conversation that night until my friend Jim left the house, which was probably pretty late, I don't even know what time, like 9 or 10, was all via text. So you should have this via text. Like,
Okay.
I don't think we started talking again on the phone until, like, after my company left. And he was like, I don't know, he just started, like, giving me details about stuff, and I don't remember what order, but he was saying, like, Nikki was really upset, and that the cops were there, and that they were, like, searching the house, and I was just like, what? You know, like, what? Why? And he was telling me that, they had, like, had a disagreement or something like that, and then, he told me, like, she was gonna go to a friend's house, and I was like, okay, well, maybe she left. You know, maybe she just, like, went to her friends. And then I think I don't remember, but I think he was the one that told me that her cell phone and her purse were still there. I think he told me that.
He told you her cell phone and purse were still there?
I think he did. I don't remember.
What's the significance of that in your mind at that time?
At that point, I thought this woman was really trying to get out of this house. That's what I thought, because he said that they'd had a disagreement, and I was just like, okay, well, I mean, I leave my cell phone at home.
When he said disagreement, what did he tell you what it was about, or?
Not at that point. Not at that point. So, again, like, you guys are going to have to check these texts, because it's all, like, my brain feels like a mashed potato right now. But I remember him saying that, and I'm just thinking, like, well, maybe she was in a rush, you know? Like, maybe she was just like, I'm going to my friends. I'm leaving my cell phone here because I don't want you calling me. I don't want anyone else calling me. I mean, there are days where, like, when I'm outside of work, I will just shut my phone off. I just do it, and it's, like, my way of getting peace. So to me, that, I mean, like, it was weird that it wasn't even that weird to me that she left her phone just because I leave my phone, but it was weird to me that she left her purse. But knowing the fact that that girl was, like, always on her phone, then, yeah, I guess that is kind of odd.
Like, she lived on her phone, I think,
yeah.
pretty much, is my understanding of her and a phone. So, I don't know if you knew that.
I did.
Until prior to the media stuff, or just from Chris.
I did.
So, did that strike you as odd? But you're thinking maybe she just left.
I just thought she needed to, like, get away from the situation. I mean, that didn't seem that awkward to me, that a couple that is going through a separation would be like, I need to leave. I just need some space. Like, it didn't even, like, process. I was like, okay, like, give her some space, you know? And on that note, too, when he was we're going to jump back for just a second because I had a thought. So when he was coming back from North Carolina, that was when he officially told me we're going to get a divorce and we're going to put the house up for sale. Like, he told me they were separating and they were, like, going to put the house up for sale, but they hadn't done it yet. And then when he got back from North Carolina, that was when he was like, it was like a sealed deal.
Okay.
And the reason that is of significance is because at some point over the weekend, I don't remember when, he told me that they were putting the house up. I don't know if it was they were putting it up on Monday, like the day they went missing, or if it was that they were calling the realtor to verify some stuff so they could put it up that week. Like, I don't quite remember. I just remember, like, the house was supposed to be, like, on the market, like, that week.
Did he name a realtor ever?
Yeah, he did, and I don't remember her name. It was a female.
Okay.
And I don't remember her name, like, at all. I was trying to think of that for you guys not too long ago.
Is it the company? Do you got the company name?
No, he never gave me that. He, like, gave me her name, and it was the same name twice. He gave it to me once when he was in North Carolina, and then once the other time. Because I remember asking, I was like, who's that? Because he's like, I'm going to have her call so-and-so today and make sure everything's still good to go. And I was like, who's that? He's like, the realtor. It's like, oh. Or not today, but, like,
if it ever comes
Monday.
to your mind, just...
Yeah, I doubt it. That was such a...
Yeah.
I will try. I don't
Lots
remember
of names.
what it was.
It's fine. It's not that critical. That person may come forward to us anyways. perhaps. So
Okay.
don't worry about it. Let's go back to the phone calls on Monday afternoon.
Yeah, so he's like texting me a lot of this information, and I'm starting to kind of freak out. And it's not like I'm freaked out like, oh, she got murdered. I mean, that is not what I thought. It's like, okay, like the way I looked at this, like apparently his wife had been gone since midday. Well, is when she got like reported missing. I didn't know that. Like the way I looked at this, it was, I got home from work just now. I mean, he didn't say that, but I interpreted, I just got home from work. And my family is not here. So when we're texting for like a few hours, like the cop thing was kind of weird. But he's like, Nikki insisted they call the cops. Nikki insisted they call the cops. And I'm like, okay, you know, and I'm just trying to figure out, well, like, what role does this woman play in this situation? Like, is she...
Did you know who she was?
No, I don't know any of his people. Like, this has been pretty, like, tight wrap for a while, which is probably a really good thing. But anyways, I didn't know, like, who she was. And so, like, I started asking him. I was like, well, where do you think your wife is at? And he's like, I think she'll be back tonight. Like, I think she's, like, out with somebody. And he was telling me that they had a disagreement. So I was like, well, I remember telling him, I was like, you should make sure that you have wait a minute. No. So all that happened. And then it starts getting kind of laid out. And I remember we talked for text for a while and part of this conversation, and then it moved to the phone. And I remember telling him, because he was like, I think she'll just be back tomorrow. I think she's just going to be gone for the night, like, with a friend, you know? And
Did
like,
he name the friend?
No, he didn't. And, like, because I don't think, he made it sound like he didn't know, like, what friend's house she would be at. And I remember talking to him, and I was like, well, maybe it's that Nikki girl. And he's like, well, Nikki called the cops, so why would she be at Nikki's house? I'm like, I don't know, kind of throws her off the trail of where she's at, you know? And it's like, it sounds kind of weird, but it's like, he really made this sound like this woman was just, like, upset, left the house, and that was probably what he thought happened to her. And so I didn't really put too much, like...
Did he tell you the kids were missing as well?
Yes, I knew.
Okay.
I mean, which made sense to me, because I was like, well, if you were at work all day... I mean, he didn't tell me he got home early. He didn't say that to me. So, I mean, it made sense. Like, if she's going to leave, they should probably go with her. And so, I don't know. I feel like I wish I should have, like, processed all of this earlier, but I just don't feel like when one of my friends is gone, I'm like, oh my God.